Hi everybody, my name is Amaya and I go to school at Wilson West Middle School, which is in Berks County, Pennsylvania. I've always loved reading, which has influenced me to do my own TV show at Wilson West called What's Reading Wednesday, where I interview kids about the books that they're reading. My love of reading has also grown into my passion for writing, and I've actually been published 2 times, and I write short stories for kids by kids, once in volume 6 and once in volume 7. Today I'm going to be reading you my story called Staying Strong about my cat Sprinkles. Staying Strong by Amaya. The trees near our family garden whistled in their own happy tune, birds picking up the tune as well. Amaya, where is the brass bowl? My mom asked, leaning over to pick another vegetable. Beside me, I am picking the tomatoes. Hold on 1 minute, I replied, putting the rest of the tomatoes into the large brass bowl. My mom glanced at the screen door. We should let your cow out. She looks really sad inside. No way, I exclaimed, stomping hard on the soil, making the dust fly everywhere. No way am I ever going to let Sprinkles out, not ever. I had begged for a cat for months, and just last week my parents had given in. When I saw Sprinkles, my heart had melted, and I knew she was the one for me. I only had her for a week, but she was already in my heart. Picking more tomatoes, I took a sniff of the fresh, earthy air. Ah, I thought, it is a great day to be outside. I tucked my hair behind my ear as I picked more vegetables. My mom once again glanced over to the screen door where Sprinkles continued to meow to the outside. I followed her glance towards the lonely face of my cat. She was one of the most special things I had in my life, and even though I hadn't had her for long, Sprinkles was like family. Amaya, you're sure you don't want to let her out? She really is lonely, and I don't want her meowing at the door forever. She's been in the house long enough, my mom said one more time. I stared at Sprinkles in the back of my mom. No way! What if she gets hit by a car, or maybe she gets lost in the woods, or maybe she will just run off? That is too big of a chance to take. My mom let out a huge sigh as my dad and sister came out of the house, blocking Sprinkles so she wouldn't escape. Hey, what's going on? Wait, are you picking tomatoes? I want one, Siona, my younger sister, demanded. I leaned over, picked up the brass bowl with the vegetables in it, plucked a ripe cherry tomato out of it, and put it into my mouth. The juice exploded in my mouth, flavors taking over my taste buds. My dad bent over, reaching towards the brass bowl. Hey, you know Sprinkles really wants to get out. You're sure that you don't want to let her out? She needs exercise. Now you, I complained. I rolled my eyes with my hands on my hips. His stern expression he gave back told me to stop giving him attitude. I wasn't ready to let her out. Sprinkles had barely gotten used to the house, let alone the backyard. In my backyard, I had a small wooded area made up of tall trees that leaned over the whole area. There was no way my cat would ever come back if she was let out. Plus, I didn't want her to be let out so soon. Her soft, furry face melted my heart inside, and her white fur with black spots was such a sweet addition to my life. I just loved her so much, so there was no way someone was going to make me let her out. Come on, my dad coaxed. How would you feel if you couldn't go outside? I'm sure you would hate to be stuck inside. Before I could reply, my sister's head shot up from her picking tomatoes. I agree with Amaya. Sprinkles would get lost in the woods or something might happen. No way. She put her hands on her hips as she chewed the tomatoes she had just grabbed. Wiping my dirt-smeared hands on my knee-length dark black pants, I looked towards where Sprinkles was sitting. Her soft, loving face beaming towards the door set me off thinking. I leaped out of the garden and walked slowly to the back door, the long grass tickling my bare feet. My heart was telling me to let her out, but my brain was telling me no way. I trudged slowly towards the back door with my heavy heart, disagreeing with myself on what to do. I turned to my family in the garden, my parents beaming at me, nodding at me to go on. I continued on, step after step, not wanting to turn back. If Sprinkles really wanted to go out, then I would want her to be happy, even if I would be worrying myself. I walked up to the patio with the sun shining and sweat gleaming on my sweaty back. I reached out to touch the cold white handle of the heavy sliding door. Meow, she said, looking at me with her calm, innocent green eyes. She continued to meow as I watched her eyes light up. Shivering at the thought of letting my beloved cat out, I stared into her longing eyes, which were telling me to do what my heart said. I pulled the door open with all my might, trying not to think about the dangers that might await my cat, Sprinkles. All of a sudden, the silence broke. Amaya, Siona called back from the garden. Don't let her out. She could get hurt. I didn't listen. I just kept pulling the door open. Finally, after what seemed like forever, I opened the door. Sprinkles leaped out with what seemed like a smile on her face. She ran faster than the wind to the empty fields beside our house. In silence, our family watched Sprinkles prance in the fields as we continued to pick vegetables. Way to go, my dad congratulated me. You were brave to let her out, and look at how happy she seems. I had to agree with my dad that Sprinkles was definitely happy as she started to chew on the fresh green grass. Watching her fly in the fields, I let out a ring of laughter. The laughter echoed through the air, making a tinkling sound that passed through the whole woods. I turned towards the fields. The grass was all raggedy, and it was at least a foot tall. Sprinkles missed all that overgrown grass. Guys, she's getting away. Someone do something. My dad followed my gaze as Sprinkles walked to the house past the empty fields. Before I could hear my dad's reply, I started to run towards Sprinkles. Running towards my cat, the roaring of the wind was flowing past my ears. Amaya, don't follow her. She will just run further, my dad called after I started to chase her. I decided to listen to my dad, but I was still worried about Sprinkles going off to the neighbor's yard. I wasn't sure if the neighbors would like cats in their yards, even if they had some of their own. Pulling myself towards the garden, I watched Sprinkles go up into the neighbor's yard, playing in the fields with the large oak trees. She slowly entered the dark woods of overgrown trees, scraggly bushes, and itchy poison ivy that stuck out every which way. Sprinkles may stick out like a sore thumb due to her white color against the dark green background, but I wasn't ready to let her out of my sight. Somebody, I said, pointing my finger at her tail disappearing into the scraggly woods. Go get her, she might not come back. My dad shook his head. I think she will be fine. My cat always came back. I listened to my dad only because he had a cat of his own before we got Sprinkles. I scanned the woods trying to see where she was, but I couldn't spot her. Although I wasn't sure where my cat was, I was surprised I wasn't freaking out. Remembering when I wouldn't let her out, I laughed at myself for being so foolish because I now know that Sprinkles is happier outside rather than being inside. Maybe Sprinkles won't come back. Maybe she will get hurt. Maybe something tragic will happen. But I know she will always be happy outside no matter what happens. My eyelids closed peacefully as I took in a deep breath of the fresh, earthy air. I started to walk back towards the house, glancing every so often at the woods. When I reached the door, I took one last glance at the woods, where I knew Sprinkles would be having a blast. Slowly, as I opened the back door, I realized that it is okay to let your loved ones go, only to know that they will come back. As the door slid open, a smile spread across my face. Thank you so much.